This presentation will be on the real interest rates data. In this presentation, I will discuss the data, visualizations in Tableau and R, and my findings. Real interest rates are interest rates that have been adjusted to remove the effects of inflation. The adjustment will reflect the real cost of funds to a borrower and the real yield to a lender or to an investor. The real interest rates exhibits a period of inclinations for current good over future goods. The data set is imperative to the economic indicator because of the significant impacts on investments, savings, overall economic growth. The data set for real interest rates is a resource for understanding the economic conditions of different countries and for the developing policies and strategies that promote sustainable economic growth and stability. This chart displays the highest measured value in 2008. The highest rates for measured values would be South Africa and the United States. High interest rates for these countries mean an increase of borrowing cost. With high interest rates, people could curb their spending and borrowing. With less spending, the economy could slow down. Also, with high interest rates, there can be improved returns on people's investments. This map displays all the countries that have real interest rates. It displays the size of the interest rates. The scale of the interest rates range from 19.7 to 133.3%. This map allows us to see which countries are performing well. These countries show economic growth. Australia and South Africa show an inflation of 20% or more. Also, there is opportunity for borrowing and investing. In this chart, we have profit and loss. The profit and loss chart calculates the field the values measure for profit. Costa Rica and Nigeria shows profit loss. This geographic map shows the average of real interest rates for each country for the year 2000 to 2010. The average shows the central tendency of interest rates for each country. By calculating the average for each country, we can identify the areas where interest rates are high. For instance, Zimbabwe shows on average 325.6. This bar chart shows 6 countries factored in descending order. The data visualizations of these countries can be identified with the highest and lowest interest rates. The country with the lowest interest rate is Jamaica at 26.03%, and the country with the highest interest rate is Mexico at 100%. The distribution of value is high while the total running sum of values along the table is low. This bar chart shows the top 10 countries with the highest real interest rates of 2021. The purpose of this chart with the highest value is to visually represent the data with rectangular bars where the height and length of each bar is proportional to the values they represent. This chart represents the top 10 countries with the lowest value. This chart is being used to display and compare the relative size of the top 10 countries over the year of 2021. This histogram chart shows the average values for the top 10 countries for the year of 2021. The purpose of this chart is to show the mean of the countries with the highest real interest rate and to visually look for trends in the course of the year of 2021. The chart allows for easy comparison of the trends and can provide insights into how the interest rates for these countries have changed. This chart can help identify which countries are performing well. This chart shows the top 10 lowest real interest rates. By grouping the countries together, the histogram allows an insight to the overall shape, spread, and central shift of the distribution. It can also help to identify any outliers or patterns with the data. The overall histogram is useful for understanding the distribution of the average values for the bottom 10 countries with the lowest value and for reviewing the patterns and trends that this data might represent. As we review the many visualizations based on negative and positive inflation rate of real interest rate, we can understand which countries are performing well and which countries are not performing well. For the consumers, investors, policymakers, it is important to understand real interest rates of varying countries. It is useful to understand the difference of countries performing well or not because real interest rates show who has growth and who does not. Real interest rates control spending power, so if the real interest rate is high, the inflation could decrease, and if the real interest rates are low, inflation could increase. Overall, the real interest rates per country data set is an important resource for understanding the economic conditions of different countries and for developing policies and strategies that promote sustainable economic growth and stability.